You're listening to the audio portion of Workshop Wednesdays. Workshop Wednesdays is a free live discussion about topics affecting accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners. You can join the ABBO group in Facebook to participate live Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Just search for ABBO in Facebook. This podcast is brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com, where you will learn, grow, and build a thriving bookkeeping practice. We have hundreds of lessons with almost every aspect of the industry. Start your free month today at Schoolofbookkeeping.com. Welcome to another Workshop Wednesday. I'm still getting used to this angle. It's like the top of my head. But this is Workshop Wednesday, and we are here. My name is Dan DeLong, and I'm here with...
Oh, me?
You.
I was trying to get back to the screen. If you could only see my desktop right now, it's crazy. Carrie Con.
And we're also joined with
Kaitlyn Weil with ADP.
All right. So we're going to talk our newest series in Workshop Wednesdays. We took a couple weeks off for the holiday, so hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving and stuffed themselves to the gills, right? What we're doing right now in our next series of workshops is twofold. So we're actually going to have one topic per workshop on two different subjects. So hopefully this will make sense. So if you haven't noticed, Schoolofbookkeeping.com is transitioning. And Carrie, you want to talk a little bit about why we're transitioning?
Well, this sort of a lesson on planning for not having one person in charge of all your technology. You want to know what's going on. So our technology expert suddenly died in the summer. And so we have been trying to update and make the content fresh, and we lost some logins and stuff. So we have moved it to a new platform, Kajabi. Is that the right?
Kajabi, yes.
That we know how to use. And so we're transitioning away from the old to the new.
Yeah, what we discovered is that Schoolofbookkeeping.com originally started in 2015, and it was built on the technology that was available at that time. And what we realized is that because of this trigger event, is that there's technology that's built out there now where for what we want to offer, it's already kind of encapsulated. So we discovered that there's there's other websites out there like Teachable and Thinkerific or where it's online learning. But what we ultimately decided on is that Kajabi had everything that we wanted to do,
and more.
More of them. And we're actually pleased with some of the functionality that's built in. The problem is that we had a subscriber base in one place and needing to kind of transition to the new platform. So you are in a state of flux right now, to be because Schoolofbookkeeping.com is the name of the company. So we have to keep that as the name of the website, which kind of makes sense, but it still exists. So right now you're in a state of flux. So I'm going to share my screen here to just kind of talk about it. It's probably, there's no way I can tell you right and no way I can show you wrong.
Okay.
Right. So here's Schoolofbookkeeping.com. It still exists.
The original.
If you Googled Schoolofbookkeeping.com, this is where it would take you. But you're seeing here that you're going to be able, we're what's the word I'm looking for? We're alerting you that we are transitioning. So that will take you to the new site. So got too many things here up at the top here. So we've got this is the new platform, so schoolofbookkeeping.com, but you can notice the website is schoolofbookkeeping.co. Right, so the M is missing. The M is missing. So if you do go to schoolofbookkeeping.com, you'll end up over here. But if you're a subscriber to the new, this is where you want to be to access. And we're trying to sort out links and everything like that. So we apologize for any misdirection when it comes to linkage, but this is where you want to go. Yep. So the one thing that we want to talk about today, and so we're going to talk about one of the newer features that didn't exist in the old platform, so that you can get familiarize yourself with the new platform. So one of the things that is available in this platform that we didn't have was a built-in community. So once you're a member of School of Bookkeeping, whether that's trial or a paid membership, you have access to a community, and you get to that community by accessing your library. So you go into the library, and then you can scroll down to see everything that you have access to as a subscriber, whatever that happens to be. And this community is where you'll be able to see that. So you just launch into that. And if you use Facebook, it's fairly straightforward. It's just like that, right? You have a feed, and then we have built-in topics. So this is where you want to go to post a question or just talk about anything that's dealing with your membership or School of Bookkeeping in general. So I've broken down some of the topics so you can go right in to those particular areas and post a question in there. And then as members of School of Bookkeeping, we can help each other, or we can utilize these as blog articles or knowledge base articles, or even a workshop Wednesday. So that's a good place to kind of start as we build in this built-in community here. Anything you want to add there, Carrie?
Well, I didn't realize how powerful this would be until that one day we had the Facebook blackout. Yeah. And for CBG, for our CBG partners, we have a really active group. And all the partners are asking us these types of questions, and they have access to this community as well. And I thought to myself, wow, this would have been, we could have continued all the dialogue and questions without losing any pace. And that day was pretty rough. So I realized that we've got to have other ways to communicate as a community and answer these questions. I mean, like, you and I are busy, and an ADP question comes in, Kaitlyn could answer. We've got Susan Humphreys, who is our number one partner that knows all the answers about as good as we do. She pops in and answers. So it's going to be a really powerful tool as we build up these questions. So remember, there is no such thing as a bad question. Please ask and that helps us search and find those topics and so forth. So this will be powerful in time. And
it gets you out of social media too, which is very distracting.
We both won those awards for social media partner of the year. Well, that also means we're distracted by that stuff. So This should be a way to help all of us focus more.
Exactly. And you can access this on the mobile app, and we'll talk about the mobile app, I think next week. Now, one of the things that we wanted to talk about and shift, and why Kaitlyn's joined us here today, is we want to focus our next series on payroll. This is, it's December 1st, right? This begins the fifth quarter of the year, as they like to call it, which is, what do I got to do with my year-end tasks and payroll tasks for upcoming, and maybe I need to shift some of my services. So we're gonna walk through some of the setting up payroll, like if you're going to start with a new client January 1, because now is a great time to do that, because You don't have to enter in year-to-date payroll entries and things of that nature when it comes to doing this mid-year, if that's the case may be. So Carrie's going to talk about desktop. I'm going to talk about QuickBooks Online, and Kaitlyn's going to talk about ADP and how do you do these things in those different platforms. So Carrie,
Oh,
you want to share your screen?
Okay.
The ball is in your court.
Okay. Now I'm going to try something. Let's see if this works. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So in the desktop land, you have two options of payroll. One is do it yourself, where you pay all the taxes yourself, and Intuit simply supplies the tax tables. And that is in Enterprise, that's considered the Gold Edition. It comes bundled in. You can do them a la carte, but that's the simplest way to explain. The other option looks exactly the same, and it's where Intuit pays the taxes for you for all states except Wyoming and Indiana. And
what's up with those states? Why are they so different?
Kaitlyn, do you have any ideas? Are they just this is an old, assisted payroll's been around a long time, but why would any idea why Indiana and Wyoming are being picked on?
No, we personally don't pick on those two states. So I don't have any insight on that for you, unfortunately.
It may have been, connect, because this assisted's been around. I know I used assisted payroll when I started, officially launched CBG in 2010, and assisted had been around. And so I know that this is just the original, they just haven't added it. By the time QBO was launched with their payroll, they figured it out, and they also do the local tax. But anyway, so Wyoming, Indiana people, I'm sorry about this. It's not my issue, but it's real easy in the desktop world. They have everything kind of segregated by the different sections: customers, vendors, employees. You can get to it several different ways. Up here on the toolbar, you just want to get to the employee center. Along the side, there's shortcuts as well. So I've opened up the employee center, and it's real organized with these tabs. So setting up, you just hit new employee, and then you complete all the information. This kind of walks you through what you need to ask for, the I-9 and stuff like that to have it on.
Yeah. Now this screen that you're looking at would be if you're setting up an employee after you've gone through the original setup, right? Because there actually is a wizard that walks you through setting up your employees, but sometimes you get bogged down in that wizard with the minutia of the details that the wizard isn't necessarily so wizardy.
It's not wizardy. I'm not a fan of the wizard.
Yeah.
The only thing that I like about the wizard,
it gives you courage.
It gives you courage. It can help check behind. It finds things like if you've left a social security number out, or if you've left out some of the setup items around the payroll taxes where you're setting up.
It'll give you those alerts. It'll give you those alerts and say, with a little exclamation point. So it gives you an idea of what you need to drill in on. So that's helpful with the wizard. Going through the payroll setup wizard.
Yeah. So and that area is the payroll setup that you're talking about is here.
And
so
you'll notice that if you click on it, it closes all your open windows. So now, so now the only thing that you can do is set up
and you have to be in
with
single user mode, which I should have been, except well, no, because I was not in single user mode because it's whatever I was in last. So anyway, set up desktop when the payroll is set up. It's pretty easy to use, but there's a lot of minutia. Yeah. And I really think for pro advisors listening to the call, this is a really good opportunity for you to shine and help them get set up, and then they can forget it. For customers, it's pretty tricky. You have to be savvy in payroll, and there's not, and Kaitlyn will tell us, not many customers are extremely savvy in payroll. While it's loading, the benefit of using assisted payroll is that it's integrated inside the software. So it makes it easier to do the job costing stuff if it's set up right. but there's a lot of screens and things to get into.
Yeah, so we're assuming that you already set up payroll, and let's say you wanted to add a new employee. So let's go back into.
Okay, all right. I will bounce back. So to go into I want to get to the employee center.
Mm-hmm.
And they make it real easy. So it's this top button, new. So you just want to add a new.
So it's really divided into, what are the six tabs on the left side. So you've got personal information, addresses, contact information, and then what's in additional info. That is custom fields.
Right. Custom fields. If you're moving from another program and you somehow have employee ID and that's important, you could put that in here. Billing rate is a whole advanced topic. You would use that. You can define some custom fields if you want to track their birthday and things like that. So this is like the optional section.
Right.
This is the meat and potatoes of it, is basically telling them, QuickBooks does create payroll schedules for you. So you would want to assign it to one of them. If you have people with different schedules, like I've had customers where just the owner gets paid once a month, but everyone else is biweekly, you create 2 payroll schedules for that. If you want it to automatically go to one class, you would set that up here. You would put in the direct deposit information. Now, of course, I don't even know if this will open if I don't have a bank connected, but you get the choice of splitting it between 2 accounts. That's a checking and a savings sort of situation. It has sick and vacation here. I don't recommend it. I don't know how you feel about it, Dan, but I don't like it. I recommend for doing tracking sick and vacation, using the QuickBooks Time or another program alongside of it. It does a better job. I mean, if they've tried to fix it, I'm not a fan. I don't like the way it works. Taxes is an area that I know we're all running into, including myself, because all my employees are on the old W-4s. They haven't moved to the new one, and the new one is once you go in there, you don't return. So it just lines up with the new tax returns. And Rachel helped explain it to me one day. I'm not good at it. So that single 0, single 1, all that is 2019 and prior. 2020 is where you have to pick something different.
It's $2,000 or $500 depending on the age.
Okay, so $2,000 for each child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's 500 if they're younger,
over 18. I believe they're over 18.
Okay, so if you have like college age kids, you would pick the 500. And then this. I guess the single. I don't know if the allowances still work when you switch to 2020. I'm scared to hit it.
It's just a sample company.
Okay, I can hit it. I'm scared. Okay.
This is not your payroll that you're dealing with.
Right. I know. So 20 or later, then you have to toggle between, again, the single, married, filing, separate, joint, head of house, and then 2 jobs. If there are 2 jobs only, you can hit that box. And then this is where, as Kaitlyn said, let's say I have 2 kids, I would put $4,000 here, and then so forth, and then you'd fill it out. And then on the second tab, you have to select the state that you're in. And when you do that, you have to line up in the setup to make sure all your account numbers and stuff, all this is set up. Once it's in, you're good. If you're doing assisted payroll, there's some other steps you have to make sure you're tied off and connected to that team so that they pay the taxes for you. Don't just assume because you fill it out, it's right. You got to tie everything down.
And the biggest difference between enhanced payroll and assisted payroll is what happens to the payroll after you send it, right? So if it's enhanced, you're still on the hook for paying and remitting and filing your payroll forms at the end of the year. With assisted, Intuit will handle that for you.
Right. So this screen,
what you're illustrating here is that everything that's filled out there is up to you, right? So I mean, as far as setting those things up. Who do you get guidance from as far as whether you need to set those? Choose one over the other. You're kind of
On your
out in the
own.
wind, yeah. So it is definitely a do-it-yourself. And if you set it up incorrectly, then that's going to, have a domino effect of everything that happens after that.
So I have a story behind that. I have
You
a
do.
customer that had 200 employees and they wanted to use assisted. They were using an outside service, paying a lot of money. But they were trying to save money, and the pricing for assisted isn't bad, but they didn't know enough about payroll to do it properly. So they decided to make a mid-year switch in November on their own. They wouldn't pay for my help until they ruined it. And what they did was they set up all the employees that were active, and they didn't set them up in order. So the computer had no way to know when the self-state unemployment taxes, you got to start in January so it knows when you hit the limits, and then it stops accruing. So there's a lot of reasons why it really is important in this product to make sure you enter it in order. So for those reasons, even though it's possible, you either have to, if you want to do mid-year conversion, you need to have an accountant alongside and do it slowly, or wait till January 1st and do it, but still have someone check behind you, because there's no help there. It's up to you. There's support, but it's not the kind of help you really need to make sure it's done right.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to give you advice. They would say, well, if this is what you want, enter it here.
Right. So anyway, so it's here, it's available, it's very inexpensive, but it's mostly do it yourself. We actually have used assisted payroll since 2010. So it's a good product, but I also am a CPA and I knew how to set it up. But as you can see, the rules change and I don't even understand the new W-4. I don't want to. You're
not filling me with confidence setting up a W-4.
I don't. Well, I don't make money selling or supporting payroll, so I like to sell it and move on and get you set up with people that know what they're doing, which used to be me.
Used to be. Yeah, it used to be that's what you cut your teeth on, right? With regards to your bread and butter when you worked with clients, right?
I did. So, I mean, the customer that I mentioned, I ended up billing him $10,000 for the fix. I had to go move in during the month of December and get it.
You moved into there.
I did. I was like, we have to scrap and start. I mean, it wasn't even start over. It was hand touch every single entry that they did to fix it. They had pre-tax 401k, post-tax, this, that, and the other insurance. It was a nightmare. So like, it was great money, but it took me out of the loop for helping anyone else. So,
right. Lesson learned, right? You always make new mistakes.
Yes. So from that point, if I tell people, if you want to switch mid-year and assisted, be very careful. So they would have saved more money if they had just paid for that existing service through the month of December and then flip the switch in January. But do your due diligence, do some sample checks to make sure that those pre-tax and post-tax, theirs was so complicated. It's sort of scary.
Yeah. I'm going to get out of sharing and I'll pass the buck over to Kate, because I'm gonna log out and go into a different company in the meantime, and I think it's just the sample company that we're dealing with here.
Okay, not a problem. Can you guys see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So this is the same platform where you run the payroll. You'll log on to runpayroll.adp.com. Once you put in your username, you'll get this page right here. In order to add an employee, you'll go right to this Employees tab. Click that. And then you have two options, whether they're a W-2 employee or whether they're going to be a 1099 contractor. So for this example, we'll just go into the W-2. ADP will give you two different options, whether you want to onboard the client, you want to fill out all their information as far as their direct deposit or their address, everything like that, or if you want to do it yourself. So for this example, I'll do the onboarding. from here, you'll go in here and you'll put in just like the basic information as far as, you know, Jim's first name, Jim's last name, his social security number, the gender, the date of birth, his home address. And then I always recommend adding the email address, because when you add the email address, that's when clients can use the ADP app on their phone to view their pay stubs, view their time, view everything and anything on there. But they can't get access to that without their email address in there. So when you're doing the onboarding, just put it all in there. You'll click next, and this will be the taxes. So it just, same as the other platforms, you just fill out which W-4 they're using, if they're claiming anyone, if they want to withhold anything extra. It's really just kind of black and white written out.
Exactly. I like this wizard. This wizard's nicer than the wizard that we were referring to in desktop.
It's definitely, it's not only is it user friendly for either the bookkeeper or the client who's actually putting it in, but it's also user friendly if the employees are doing it. So if we were to choose the other option, you go and you enter in just like the basic information as far as like their name and their email address. They say they can get emailed the link. And then once they get that link or email on their phone or computer, they'll go in and pretty much see this exact screen, and they can go out and fill in everything. And you do have, as the bookkeeper, as the client, you have access to look into it, make sure that they filled everything out properly, nothing's blank, that everything looks good, kind of just to overview it. But you don't have to spend the time filling all this out. So you have all
is there like an alert section, like when you log in as the accountant, to say, you know, so and so didn't put in their social security number or something like that?
Yep. So it actually doesn't let you submit it without the social security number. That's like one of the few. You can't submit it unless you have the social.
Bad example.
But back on that homepage, which I can jump back to in a few minutes, it shows you like Jim is only at 76% complete, and it shows you exactly where they are. And then it will also show you if they
like
did
a health meter.
Yes, exactly. It makes kind of just so you can be more of an advisor and make sure that they're filling things out instead of kind of questioning, be like, hey, did you fill this out yet? Because you'll know right away. So they'll fill out the bank account information, they'll fill out the employment information as far as, you know, hire dates, if there is anything else, any special status or anything, payroll information. So this, you would always fill out how much they're going to be paid, because if I could put in how much I'm going to be paid, I'm going to put $1 million an hour, work 1 hour a year, that'd be great. So this you would always enter in, because you don't want to leave that up to everyone.
Right.
You would not like to run payroll every week. And then just any extra deductions or earnings. So if they do have any type of deductions, you can add that in here. And then you'll click review. And this is kind of just a checks and balances page to make sure that everything you entered looks correct to what you have. And then obviously, since it's incomplete, I can't click done. But if you could click done, that's where you'd click it.
Got it. Okay, so thank you for taking the ball early, but I can now bring up mine. My own sample company, not Intuit sample company. You should be able to see. Are you seeing my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, perfect. So this is a QBOA sample company. And QuickBooks Online Accountant, they actually get the highest tier of payroll that's built in, which does have a little bit of checks and balances built in, where there's because the Intuit actually does have a guarantee, regardless of who makes the mistake. They want to make is a white what do they call it? The white glove service. So.
And that's just the elite tier.
Yeah, that's just the elite tier. But that's what we're like. If I go into the overview here, it will give me, you know, this elite onboarding column, and they'll walk you through a lot of these things as well. But we're just going to add new employee, and then what first comes up is very similar to what Kate was showing. You can invite them to set up their own payroll. So I'm just going to use test. Hello. Got to put in my cursor. Test employee. Right. And then this gives them the employee self setup. But if you're just going to add them up in here, email address. So let's see. none.com. And then what it would do is actually invite them, and there is a place that they can go to see their W-2, see their pay stubs, called Workplace, and then that will allow them to workforce or workplace.
It's workforce.
Sorry. And then it gives you a little guided tour here, but we're gonna break out of that. So it breaks it down into the profile, which gives you their personal information, their tax withholding, payment method, how they're actually going to get paid, whether it's paper check or direct deposit, and then their employee details. The nice part about this is that it won't let you continue until you've finished the prior step, because a lot of those things are dependent on you setting things up properly. So it is nice in that regard, because you can't jump ahead. And if you do, it will only give you the things that you can do that are required, that are independent of that. So in here, you can specify how they get paid, whether it's a salary, hourly. You can create the overtime and holiday and how they get paid, any additional pay types. Nice part about QuickBooks Online is that the pay types that are in here are pre-set up. So if you know what it is that if you're setting up payroll for clergy, and you choose the clergy housing allowance, then that will be set up properly with regards to the taxes that fall after that. Desktop, on the other hand, you don't have that luxury, but you have the ability to really get a lot. What's the word I'm looking for, Carrie? You can teach that dog the tricks.
Yeah, you can set up the same things in there. You just need to know what you're doing.
Right. And if you have any questions, you talk to your accountant. You can call Carrie.
And hopefully an accountant that understands payroll and the QuickBooks setup. So,
right.
So not everybody.
Because one of the things that you are, and we'll talk about setting up payroll items, I think next time, because in desktop you can be very granular about where do you want this to show up on the various forms. So I've had a lot of calls that came in when I worked it into it. It was like, I want this to show up on box X on this particular form, and you can do that in desktop. You cannot kind of override that online. So that's really where you would go in to create a new employee. Again, you can you can have the employee fill out the lion's share of this, of course, without telling they can't set up their own pay rate. Because again, that will be a short-lived employee, I think.
Yeah, that would not work. Would be nice though, but
yeah,
not how the world works.
It's like my boss used to say, you can do anything you want on your last day.
My other favorite payroll joke is when my kids got their first paycheck and they're like, what is this FICA nonsense?
Yep.
They thought they were getting a whole paycheck, like casual labor. Nope.
Nope.
Oh, no,
Uncle Sam gets some.
That's right. They did not like Uncle Sam that day.
It's rough, especially when you get to the end of the year and you look at how much you paid the whole year. You're like, oh man.
Well, and then if they chose like single zero and it withheld so much money and they get, half their paycheck, they get really upset.
Yeah.
Until they get the big refund. And then I try to explain, you don't really want to do that because it's tax-free. It's interest-free.
Right. It's an interest-free loan to the government. Who wants to do that?
No, invest your money. Make your money work for you.
Yep.
So on the School Bookkeeping new site, there actually is. So if you have any questions about what's the right version of payroll, we have a guided tour I think that's probably the best way to describe it. I'm going to put it in the Facebook comments here in the group. And on the tools and resources page, actually, why don't I show that on the new site?
No,
Not the old site.
End of yet.
Tools and resources, and eventually, what will happen is the .com will return, and it will bring you to this platform. But in this state of flux, where we have both platforms available, there is that little bit of confusion of the missing M for .com on School of Bookkeeping. But in here under tools and resources, we have QuickBooks Chooser. So if you have any questions about what's the right version of QuickBooks, you can launch that and it'll walk through that process. And then we also have the Payroll Chooser. So what version of payroll might be the best? You can walk through this process and get those answers. So maybe it's ADP, maybe it's QuickBooks Online, maybe it's QuickBooks Desktop. It really just depends on what works best for you. So thank you for joining us. Kate, thanks for filling in and coming in today. We appreciate your insight from the ADP perspective. And hopefully we'll continue having you here so that we can talk about some of the other functions of payroll in the various platforms.
Looking forward to it. Thank you for having me, Dan and Carrie.
All right, we'll see you next time on Workshop Wednesday.